Mercury Neptune is a very interesting planetary pair because it can be a very good planetary combination or it can be a very challenging planetary combination. As we know, Mercury represents our mind, our ability to communicate, as well as our ability to learn in general. And sometimes when a person has Mercury Neptune, it sets that person up to be a more artistic thinker, a more creative thinker, or somebody who thinks in terms of fantasy and worlds far away. So very often a person who has Mercury Neptune is a person who can be a wonderful storyteller because their mind has the ability to tap into hidden currents of creativity that gives them a great level of ability when it comes to weaving a grand tale, whether or not that tale is based on real events. The Mercury Neptunian person has the ability to share a dream that they see within their own mind with others, and they can also bring people into a very real experience of that fantasy with them. Mercury Neptune people in general have the ability to speak to the depths of a person's soul as far as sharing their story is concerned. So we love Mercury Neptune for those reasons. However, Mercury Neptune, especially in a chart in which that Mercury is otherwise afflicted, could just as well correspond with somebody having a very difficult time putting their words together. Mercury has to do with how we speak, and Neptune, as you all know, is a planet that I consider to be one of the cosmic toilet bowls of the universe. And so sometimes when a person has Mercury Neptune, they can be inarticulate. They can find it very difficult to put their words together. They can find it very difficult to hold one specific train of thought, and they can also find it difficult to really speak from a place that has depth and profundity because the meaning that they're trying to convey with their words gets lost someplace between the connection that is found between the mind and the mouth. And very often they find themselves being misunderstood. Mercury Neptune as a combination is the specific combination of misunderstanding because Mercury has to do with our ability to understand and be understood, and Neptune has to do with mistakes. And when we think about it, that kind of makes sense because Mercury and Neptune has to do with a person speaking in a way that is fantastical and sometimes mystical and even spiritual. And sometimes when we're communicating with the world around us in that way, it can be very difficult for others to bring down the content of what we're trying to say in a very pragmatic sense. And sometimes our words can get lost in translation as a result of us speaking in a way that others don't resonate with. So for this reason, the person who has Mercury Neptune may sometimes even be shy when it comes to expressing themselves publicly as far as speech is concerned. However, Mercury and Neptune in hard aspect combination can predispose a person to being a wonderful singer or a wonderful poet or somebody who is wonderfully able to tap into some otherworldly quality when it comes to their voice. Now, on this note of the Mercury Neptune person being a very good storyteller, Mercury Neptune people can also be very good liars. And the reason for this is because when we have Mercury and Neptune in hard aspect, sometimes we can't really differentiate between fact and fiction. And as a result of that, we ourselves as people with Mercury Neptune can get so lost in the experience of the story that we're weaving that we forget somewhere along the line that the story that we're weaving is actually untrue. And this can span the range of the most innocent lie by omission, meaning that a person is saying something and they don't really realize that the core of what needs to be said isn't actually being communicated. Or it can be somebody who is so engrossed in the story that they're telling that they don't realize that they're embellishing that story or that they may be exaggerating that story a bit. Or this can even manifest in the charts of people who are more intentionally trying to be dishonest and who know that they can do that with a great level of effectiveness because they know that other people around them believe what they say. Mercury Neptune and hard aspect is also a combination that we associate with brain fog, and very often when people have Mercury and Neptune in their charts, these are people who might have some sort of condition that causes them to have a foggy brain. And there are many things that can cause a person to have brain fog, but Mercury and Neptune is definitely the combination that's corresponding with this. Mercury Neptune is also a combination of forgetfulness, because if Mercury is representing the integrity of our mind, Neptune is representing a force that foundationally erodes that integrity. And so sometimes when a person has Mercury Neptune in hard aspects combination, they can experience forgetfulness, or they may experience a mind that doesn't necessarily hold on to some of the more finer nuanced details that are actually of utmost importance in the larger memory that they're trying to recall. Mercury Neptune is also the specific astrological combination for sleep. One of the challenges with Mercury and Neptune is that even if a person gets a full night of sleep, they may still wake up in the morning feeling deeply unrested, or feeling deeply fatigued, or feeling as if they need to go back to bed again. Mercury Neptune is also a wonderful combination when it comes to dreams and when it comes to dream work in general. And very often, people who have Mercury Neptune have a far more vivid internal life and a far more vivid creative mind than they do even an external life. So people who have Mercury and Neptune can be people who can dream wild, wonderful, amazing things. And if a person has Mercury and Neptune and they wanted to enter a form of therapy with others, then something along the lines of dream work would be a field in which they could excel in. Mercury Neptune in hard aspect is also a wonderful combination when it comes to a person having a very finely developed intuitive capacity. And sometimes Mercury Neptune people can be so intuitive that it even borders genuine psychic ability. However, one of the challenges with Mercury and Neptune is that when a person knows that they innately have the ability to tap into psychic undercurrents that exist within their environment, sometimes it can cause them to feel as if they're having a psychic intuition, even when that isn't necessarily the truth. So, somebody with Mercury and Neptune in hard aspect combination, while they may be naturally intuitive, they could benefit from trying to hone these abilities more strongly so that they have a clear way of distinguishing between a genuine burst of intuitive or psychic information and their own mind giving them information that doesn't necessarily align with any great depth of intuitive insight. Another thing that I think is very wonderful about Mercury Neptune is that a Mercury Neptune person has the ability to genuinely hear what another person is going through, and as a result of that, Mercury Neptune can predispose a person to being able to work in a counseling field or work in a therapeutic capacity where they can stand in the gap for somebody with a heart full of compassion and be a healing guide to that person for them to remember themselves. So Mercury Neptune, while it is a bit of an elusive combination, it's also a very great combination when it comes to being able to speak from a healing place and use our words as a tool of healing.